Okay, my friends, welcome back to part 2 of this beautiful little lighthouse in Seascape. Looking quite nice so far, I think. A little bit of shadowing to do here and there, but other than that, I think we're going quite well, aren't we? I'm going to move over to this side of the canvas, and I think what I might do is perhaps just zoom in slightly on that side there, just for the lighthouse. What do you think? Let's just go with that. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to start with the lighthouse. I think the first thing I'll do is this dark brown, kind of this concrete support here. So I'm going to just grab a nice flat brush for this. Let me find a brush here now, my friends. Let me find a brush. Something a decent kind of a size that we can kind of work quickly with. I think something like this, a nice medium sort of a flat. It's a size 12 flat brush, all right? This is still a little bit wet, which is good. So I'm going to dampen my brush. I'm going to start by just filling this in with a burnt umber, I think. Just a burnt umber. I think we'll go with that. Let me have a look at this now and just see. Yeah, that's good. We'll go with a burnt umber just for that. And I'm going to fill this in, all of this, just fill it in with some burnt umber. And again, I'm not going to trying to go perfect with all of this. The thing about burnt umber, it's very translucent. Which means, you know, once it's thinned out, it does not cover the canvas completely. So you really need to add something to burnt umber if you really want to cover your canvas properly. But I'm just going to start with this kind of thin mix of burnt umber, just for now. Okay, so that's my burnt umber on there. Then I'm going to go into, let's pick up some Naples yellow and some burnt sienna. Now I'm not going to mix them too much. I'm then going to just maybe, I'm going to cut across here to create that divide, okay? Then I'm just going to kind of swoop down like this. To create these shapes coming down. Now immediately with the Naples yellow, it starts thickening the paint, you see. So it starts covering the canvas much, much better when you have Naples yellow in this mix. Naples yellow again, little burnt sienna. And we'll do the same up here. Again, I'm not going to be too perfect with all of this, all right? And I might even use a palette knife. The palette knife might actually work quite well for all of this, because it has a nice flat edge, doesn't it, the palette knife. Then I'm going to go into some black. I'm going to take some black and some burnt sienna. So I want to start getting some darker shades, and I'm going just to paint down, no thinners, because this is already quite wet. I'm just going to start darkening certain areas. Just look at the photograph that you have. If you're painting something like this, just take a look at your photograph and just put them in wherever you see them. And I will perhaps, look, let's just drag a few down like this. And we'll bring a few down like that. Again, I'm not trying to make this absolutely perfect, all right? I'm just going for a kind of a loose impression of that concrete structure just there. I'm going to take some magenta with some burnt sienna, get some nice warm colours going on, pop some of that warm colour in here and there. And I do want a nice contrast. So what I might do first is just cut across, just to straighten that just a little bit, okay? Just cut across that with my brush, like so. That just gives a nice little divide, doesn't it? Now, is the lighting okay on camera? I think it is. Will I try and adjust it slightly, just to make it slightly brighter for you? I think that's a bit better. Right, down the end, this kind of mixes into this ocean colour, doesn't it? Now, let's try and do that. I'm going to take my large brush, a dry brush. I'm going to take some magenta with some titanium white and a touch of phthalo blue. So I'm going for a kind of a pinkish mauvey shade, okay? Take a look at that. Okay, that's good. I'm maybe a bit darker. Maybe a bit darker. Come on, let's go a bit darker. I'm simply going to kind of take a pinkish mauve and I'm going to soften the pinkish mauve into all of this first. Look. Now, I'm using more pink for a reason. Because the pink will mix easier with the brown. If I put a blue into this with the brown, it's going to go a very muddy green shade. So by starting with a pink like this, okay, a very soft pink, we start with a soft pink and it just makes it much easier then to put your mauvey blue in through this in a moment. So I start with this pink. I'm just going to cut across first, all the way across there, soften it up, right up into all of this. Go along the edge, clean the brush there just to get that bit of brown off, and then fade that back out and in and just look, make it lovely and soft and smooth. So now I have my pink mist going in there. I'm going to switch to a slightly bluer shade, so a little bit more phthalo blue with a little bit of pink, a touch of white. So now I can use my more bluey shade, you see, and that will soften into the pinkier shade much, much better. And we'll just kind of muddle all that together nice and soft and smooth. And there's a lovely mist already. Isn't that just wonderful? The next thing I'm going to do is just take my soft blender brush. I'm just going to kind of soften that up into all of that up there. Look. Make it nice and soft. And there. Quite nice, isn't it? Now that wasn't too complicated, I don't think. I am going to just hit that with some sunlight, just a little bit here and there. I'm going to take some naples yellow, a touch of cadmium yellow, tiny touch, and a touch of sienna. And I'm just going to kind of hit that with some strong light. I might need a bit more cadmium yellow in this. Tiny bit more cadmium yellow. Ah, that's a bit better now, isn't it? There. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to move on to the lighthouse. I think I'll stick with the same brush. It seems to be just about the width of the lighthouse, maybe more. I'll start with a nice bright white. Okay, let's pick up a nice bright white. Lots of titanium white on my brush. I'm going to go in and just paint the entire thing in white, I think, first. Right, let's go. Let's pick a point. Just get a nice straight edge down the outside. Goes up quite a bit, doesn't it? I want to give this a really nice impact. I don't want this now to be too small and off in the distance. I want it to be nice and strong and imposing in the painting. So I'm going to go nice and thick and high with this. Just keep going. Till you feel you have a nice straight edge. Then I'm going to go over to my medium shade, so I'll take a little bit of browny black into that mix and I'll go slightly darker. Now it's difficult for me to see if this is straight or not because I'm kind of painting this from an angle, so I'm over here on the right of your screen and I'm kind of reaching across to the left, so it's difficult for me to tell if this is straight or not. So please do tell me if I'm kind of off center or if I'm coming down at a funny angle with this. I'll see it back anyway when I look, but If it is, I can just straighten it again afterwards. There's no problem with that. Okay, we have the middle shading done. Then we're going to go to the darker side. The darker side is quite small on this, isn't it? So I will just get a little round brush. Let me just find my brush now. It's just disappeared completely on me. Where did I put that brush? Oh yes. Okay. Round brush. I'll take some black with that and a bit of phthalo blue. A little magenta. Phthalo blue, black and magenta. And it does look like a very thin line, doesn't it? I might need thinners just to help this flow, because you can see my canvas has a rough grain, so it's kind of taking the paint very loosely. Now it comes out at the bottom, doesn't it? Gets wider. And I'll do the same with the white then in a moment, so not to worry, okay? Not to worry at all. Right, look, we're doing quite nicely now with all of this. We're doing quite nicely. I go with some white, and I'm going to just widen this as it comes down slightly. And the middle shade is going to be slightly wider on the bottom as well. This is all just a very loose impression as well, look, okay? I'm not going to try and get this absolutely perfect first time. Now I am going to take some Naples yellow and white just to add a real bright white just on the white side. Little Naples yellow and white. I just want to really make that kind of jump. I think that really helps. We have a little round canopy up on top. Again, Naples yellow and white. And I'm just going to kind of guess. I'm going to kind of guess this. Again, I don't know if this is coming out straight or not. I really don't know. It's way over center, isn't it? It's way off. So I need to come across another little bit here. Then I'm going to just fix the top part of this. Like so. Now we're going to move on to the center piece of that lighthouse. Now, looking at the photograph, it's just really, it's a mix of different things and colours from what I can see here. So I'm just going to put a shadow side here first, look, okay? Like that. And there's just this sort of funny orangey red sort of a thing just in the middle. I'm going to try some magenta and cadmium yellow. And I'm just going to kind of mess around with the center piece here just to add just a splash of kind of colour in there, that's all. And take a bit of magenta. You see, I'm just kind of adding little bits in there. I'm going to a smaller brush, and there's a kind of a yellowy rail around this. It's a funny kind of a shade. It's like a rich yellow or something. So I'm just going to go like this, 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 and then I'm going to crisscross one or two of those. Now, don't worry, all of this is just an impression, very loose impression of the lighthouse. I will fix the canopy as well. That needs to be fixed. I need to put some shading on that also. I'll take a bit of that shade colour I have and I'll pop a little shading on this side. It's quite difficult when you're reaching across the canvas and you're not directly in front. It's quite difficult to see if you're kind of doing this straight and the way it should be. So forgive me if this is not perfect. Take a little darker black colour, pop a little of that in there. Okay, now we have a very dark piece just under here as well. I'm just going to accentuate it slightly, okay, just to sit everything down together. I'm going to take a little of the Naples yellowy shade and just pop a little of that there as well. And a little, I'm just looking at the photograph now and I'm just like popping in little details where I can see little things. Understand what I mean? Little piece on top. There's some burnt sienna with some Naples yellow up there as well. It's just about just kind of pretending that there's random shapes and all that kind of stuff up there. You know, it's just telling the viewer that there is little things going on around the place up there. It's not, and maybe a little bit of white. I'll pop a little bit of white there, like that. And then we have just that bit of black down at the end, don't we? I mean, a few other little bits and pieces to do on this as well. But I am just keeping this nice and simple. I'm going to go at a slight angle, very slight angle, down, then straight across, and then back slightly, okay? Just to show the lighthouse turning as it comes round. See what I mean? That's all it is. Very slight angles should do the job. We have other little tiny bits of detail up here as well. So for example, I'm just going to take some white. I'm going to pop a little white here and then a little bit of darkness just behind that, a little shadow. So it's just something. It's just something around there, and there's probably a little shadow being cast off of that as well. Tiny, tiny shadow being cast. There we are. That is not bad, is it? Now let's just sit that down again and go underneath that with some sienna, burnt umber, whatever, any colour at all. Let's just sit that down, cut underneath that. Another thing I could do with this, another good idea, is to give it some highlighted shadow. So for instance, if I take a bit of blue magenta and just put a bit of white into that, I could highlight the back of that as well, just a little bit, look. That just gives you an impression of a highlighted shadow behind. It's only very subtle, but you could see it. You will see it. Okay, let's move on. We are moving down, right down. I'm going to start putting some lovely spray in down at the bottom corner here. I'm going to start zooming back slightly. There. So you can get a better kind of a picture now of everything, can't you? We have some nice spray going on down here. Let's take some white, a tiny bit of blue, and I'm going to just start adding some spray. Round in little circles. We'll first soften it up into the brown. We come across like that. Take some blue, add a bit of blue in there. And just very gently then with the tip of your brush, soften that away up and out into that brown. And then I'm going to go to my fan brush. The fan brush is probably the best brush in your box. I think the fan brush is just absolutely fantastic. Fantastic brush to use. Let's take a bit of white on the brush and let's just you know, go over a little bit of spray coming up here off of that, very, very loosely, kind of just dab, dab, dab. Just nice and gently with the corner of the brush. You could use a normal flat brush for this time as well if you want. It's absolutely possible. Then what I might do is take my soft blender brush and just dab that around, just to kind of soften it slightly, make it a little bit more random, okay? There. It's amazing how just simple little techniques can make all the difference, can't they? Simple little techniques, and might probably even could do with some extra thicker white just in around here. So let's just pop a little bit of it in, make it a little bit more on the white side. There we go. Now we have our lovely kind of dark brown piece coming out inside there, don't we? I'm going to go about here, little rock coming out, and it comes down and just like that sort of disappears into the water, doesn't it? So burnt umber, a bit of black, there we go. And I go with some burnt sienna and some black as well. I'm going to add some magenta with burnt sienna to this. Give it a little bit of warmth. I like a bit of warmth. Warmth is nice in a painting, isn't it? All right, now I'm thinking palette knife. And I need some more paint on my palette. Let's get some burnt sienna on there, and we can get some burnt umber on there as well. And let's have a bit of fun with the palette knife. Come on, let's take some burnt sienna and a bit of burnt umber. And let's just make that nice and jagged. So just kind of picking up different shades. See, I'm just kind of warming it slightly. I think all these different shades will just really add to the finish, won't it? I'm just dabbing my knife here and there, just to create a little bit of texture, that's all. It doesn't have to look exactly like rocks, does it? It's just a bit of texture, it's nothing else. Now, that's fine. We are moving across now nicely, aren't we? I see a bit of spray. So I'm going to come down to this area and start working on this area here. This lovely swoop. And we can work a lot on this area as well very soon. But I just want to kind of carry this across first. Let's see. Before we do these little rocks here, we have some nice spray going on behind them, don't we? So we need to get that spray in first. I'm just going to go into some white and a touch of magenta. And I'm just going to kind of look at where the spray is sort of coming up. It's around here, isn't it? So I'm just going to put that in there like that, just for now. I'm just dabbing with my brush very loosely. And just a little bit, carry it across, just to carry it across, that's all. Very loosely with the brush, look. And then I go to my fan brush. I grab some white with that. And I just kind of make it a bit more random. That kind of thing, you see what I mean? Just a bit more random. And then again, we go to the soft blender brush and we just dab that, just to help it kind of filter away. It's so much fun doing this, it really is. I hope you're trying this at home now, I really do, because you are missing out. It's just so much fun. There's no restrictions when you're painting like this. You can just do what you want. Whatever makes you happy, you do that. Okay? You know, I'm not saying that my techniques are correct. You know, not by any means. You have your own techniques and just experiment. But the whole point of me here is just to show you that you can just do whatever you like. It's completely up to you. It's your painting. You know, you don't have to, there's not a certain set of rules that you have to go by when you're painting like this. If you want to grab a palette knife, you do that. If you want to grab a 6-inch brush from your shed, then do that, no problem. You know, whatever makes you happy, do that. Do it your way. Okay, nice little bit of spray going on down there. I'm going to just get burnt umber now with my small flat brush, burnt umber and a bit of black. Alright, I'm going to take some burnt umber with some black and I'm going to come over here and you see these big rocks coming over just kind of underneath this, like that, and then it comes up, doesn't it? Bit of a jagged edge and it comes across and it disappears. Make them nice and jaggedy, don't be shy. Okay, that's that. Then just to add a little bit of naples yellow with burnt sienna into those here and there. It's just to catch a bit of light, that's all. You know, it's no big deal. Just pop a little bit in here and there, catch a bit of light. Look, just on the light side. The sun is coming from this side, so anything on the right side will have a bit of light, just kind of catching it here and there. That's fine. And then, clean the brush again. I go to my other large brush. I'll take a bit of that whitey, mauvey, bluey shade and I'll just soften a bit of that up underneath to create that lovely mist again, just underneath all of this. And very gently soften it up into that line, you see? So you're creating that lovely soft misty effect again, just underneath. Then I grab my soft blender brush and I just soften all that together very gently. But I'm leaving the top edge, that dark edge, I'm just leaving that as it is. That's fine. Okay, we have that bit done with the mist. Then we're going to come down and I think we'll just come over here and finish this section, should we? I think it would look nice when that's all just finished. So you can see the wave coming down here, that kind of crest. It's a very kind of a dark colour, isn't it? I tend to paint the dark colours first, coming down here. So that kind of a dark, muddy, browny colour. Let's put that in. I think we should paint that in first. Get my small flat brush again. I'm thinking burnt umber with some phaylo blue, naples yellow. That's giving me a kind of a bluey, greeny colour, but then take a touch of burnt sienna. Now, that's probably still not even right, but let's try it. That's too light, isn't it? Let's get some more burnt umber. I'll start with that colour anyway. So I'm going to fill in the shape of that coming down, look. Just fill that in. It doesn't come down very far, does it? That's our dark colour there. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow as well, mix it into that, and add that in as a kind of, just add a little bit of a greeny shade into this. I think that would help. Then I'll take some naples yellow with some cadmium yellow, and I'm going to just soften some of that through there as well. It's not on the photograph, but I think just adding this hint of a yellowy shade through that would make the difference. It would just add a little bit to it. And up around here, just a little bit more of the naples. Then I'm going to just take my small pointy brush and go for some nice dark shades. So black and a little bit of blue. Lots of thinners. Make that nice and watery. And just try and get a nice point on your brush. And I'm just going to go like this, look. I'm just going to kind of wiggle some of that dark shade into these. It's just here and there. Bit of burnt umber perhaps as well. So it's just, you see, I'm just kind of mixing lots of different things together. That's all it is. Now that's okay for now. The next job is white. Well, you can't start putting the white on this, but I think what I might do first is just fill this area in with a nice soft blue, okay? A nice soft mauvey blue first. I'll take some phaylo blue. Now, I don't know, should I zoom back for you a bit more so you can see my palette? There. How's that? Blue, magenta, and some white. And let's just fill this area in with that colour. I hope I'm making this a little bit easier for you to understand. I'm just keeping all of this nice and simple. So I hope it's not too complicated for you. It's just, you know, focusing on certain little sections. That's what I would say to you. That's what I do. I just focus on certain sections at a time. And then it all just comes together like a puzzle. You know what I mean? Like a little puzzle. It merges together then eventually. You see what I mean? It's just kind of coming together slowly. I'm going to mix a nice dark, shadowy blue for in behind here. There's a nice dark shadow just in there. A little bit of blue, a little bit of magenta. And a touch of black perhaps as well. Okay, so we have that nice shadowy colour in. It's probably even a bit darker as well. Probably much darker than that in some parts. Let's just dab a little bit of shade in there. And we'll come across, I'm going to soften that up into that brown. Just dab, dab, dab with your brush. Dab, dab, dab very gently. Just bring it all together, okay? Then we have some nice white kind of going on down here. Let's take some white and let's just, with our brush, look, very randomly. You could even take some naples yellow. Just very randomly dab the brush around in very random kind of motions. Look, I just want to create a very rough area where there's Lots of water moving around down in here. It seems to be coming together slowly, doesn't it? It does take quite a bit of time, all of this. It takes a lot of time. It's just very slow and methodical. Just take your time with it. You know, don't be tempted to do like what a lot of people do with the Bob Rosses. They just get a big brush and they start dabbing everywhere. Just take your time and do little parts, little pieces at a time. You see, so for instance now, just up here, corner of my brush, I'm just very gently softening all of this together. Okay, just nice and gently. One brush stroke at a time. The next thing I'm going to do is go to my fan brush. I think we need a fan brush for the rest of this. I'm going to take some Naples yellow. Now, let me just make sure my brush is very clean. It needs to be nice and clean for this. Let's get some Naples yellow and lots of white. Very whitey, yellowy shade. I'm going to start by putting some of the brighter shades just in here. And the thing about this is you're immediately going to see it starts to mix with the shade underneath. It starts mixing. That's the tricky part, okay? Just keep going and persevere. Just keep going. And, you know, we have some nice lighter shades around here. I just keep looking at the photograph and I'm just popping in kind of touches of white where I see them. Let's go with some white on its own, and I'm just going to kind of go along the top of this here. Okay, there's just a little bit there, and we then have those little, just little bits in between the lights and darks in all of this. So just very gently, you could even scrape your fan brush down as well if you like. Create some movement, just like that. And another thing I'd like to try with this is the palette knife. I think that would make a really nice difference. So, and I'm also going to add some darks down in here as well. It needs a bit more dark, doesn't it? So I'm going to just add a little bit more of a darker shade down around here. So maybe just a little bit here and there. And I'll go back over that then again with some white, but I just want to kind of grab some shadows down here in all of this. So let's try a palette knife. I am going to just take some Naples yellow, lots of white. I'm going for a bright whitey white, okay? And the Naples yellow will give you that bright white, crisp white, okay? So I'm just going to go along with that, and I'm going to kind of dab here and there. And it's very sort of rough up on top, isn't it? Let's just pop a little bit of it in around the top here. I'm being just very loose with my palette knife. Just really loose, look. Just kind of allowing it to deposit the paint here and there. Just nothing too fancy or complicated. Just allow your palette knife to do the work for you. Okay. How are we looking so far? I would say not bad. Not bad at all. You know, this is all stuff that we can work on as we need to as time goes on. We're 40 minutes in, and that's not bad. That's not bad, I think, for what we've achieved. I'm just going to grab some naples yellow and put some naples yellow in here just to grab some of those lights a little bit more. And I'm also going to take my flat palette knife again, just grab some white. I just want to come down here and reinforce some of the whites along here, okay? Just look, leave them flick outwards and upwards and all sorts of things. Just have a bit of fun. Because you never know what will happen until you try it, will you? That's what I find with painting. You know, I didn't know that what was going to happen here until I grabbed my palette knife and just started putting it on, which is a lot to do with painting. You just try different things. So I'm just going to focus on trying to create lots of texture and movement down around here. That's really what I'm trying to do now at the moment, just trying to get lots of texture. And get a fan brush, pop a few little bits of spray popping up here and there. You may find your canvas starts getting very messy, but that's okay. I think that's all part of painting, isn't it? If you think it's getting a little messy, no problem. That's all right, that's fine. Now I'm just going to get some black. I need black. I'm just going to go up here and darken these. Make them a nice silhouette, yeah? Come on, let's get a nice silhouette up here of all of this. And we'll just soften it down. The brush. Soften it back down, then maybe just take a slightly bigger brush and we'll just work that back down into the mist, look. No, that's a bit better, isn't it? I'm going to call this part 2 finished, my friends, because, you know, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, we want to take our time. I could just grab that now with my knife, look, and drag it down. Maybe just to even it out just a little bit more, just to give it more of a movement going down and up, you see, just like that. I think that's a little bit smoother, a little easier on the eye. And also another bit of black just for here, just to get a nice silhouette on all of this. Okay, I'm going to call this part 2 finished, my friends. How are we looking so far? That's not bad, is it? It's not bad. I just feel I want to darken. I want to just darken down here a little bit with some darker paint. I'm going to take some burnt umber and some black and a touch of naples. I just feel that needs to be a little bit darker down here. I think that's probably just enough. There, done. It has been a huge pleasure painting for you. There, beautiful sunny morning here in Ireland, beautiful and sunny. I thought, why not go out and do a bit of painting in the studio for you guys. I'll be right back with part 3. I'll just take a moment to clean up, change my tissue, change my thinners, give my palette a little clean, and I'll crack on and we'll go back into part 3 and we'll finish this painting. I hope it turns out quite nice, but let me know what you think so far. And I hope it hasn't been a little bit too complicated for you, but you can see the process I use. It's just very loose. I'm not trying to paint every single little crest of every single wave and every single bit of splash individually. I'm just being very loose with my brushes. I think that sometimes is the best way to paint something like this. Just be very loose. and just have a bit of fun, alright? Go on, enjoy. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't done so. You're missing a lot of interesting little techniques and tutorials. I'll be right back. I'll see you again, my friends, very shortly.